What's up, guys? So today we're gonna have a tutorial on how to make voice lines with subtitles in your missions in Arma 3. Surprisingly simple process that will add a lot of depth to your missions. So yeah, just quickly before we start, there's a Google Drive link with the whole mission file that I'll make today. So if you want to grab that quickly and just dip, you can do that too. If you just want to be able to do the voice lines, you can just take that and change the values if you know what you're doing. But yeah, firstly we're gonna go over the mission setup and the tools we use. Basically, you're just gonna set up the mission with some objects and a few things so we can actually start working. And we are going to be using Audacity for the audio today. If you want to grab that quickly, you can do that now. Quick disclaimer: it's probably not the most efficient method to do it, like to do the voice lines, but like that's what the Arma 3 documentation tells me as far as I know. But there's probably better methods out there, but I haven't found them. So yeah, just stick with it. If you find something better, let me know. And also, I recommend making your mission first before you make your voice lines, just so making the voice lines and setting them up in your mission is easier. That's what I usually do, anyways. So yeah, I'm not gonna go over all the things in order, but I will just list what we're gonna go over. So firstly, how to record and import the audio to your mission from Audacity, which is actually pretty easy. Next, we're gonna go over the difference between voice lines being played globally versus being played in proximity in 3D space. So let's say a player is near an entity, we can make the entity play a sound instead of actually having all the players in the server hear that sound, which is nice for not spamming everyone with sounds sometimes. Next, we're gonna go over how to use it in game with, how do we activate the voice line? There's triggers we can use which check for, let's say, an object is no longer alive, like an enemy soldier. Then you can play a voice line, or you can have a action for the players to use on an object, and then play a voice line. So that's actually the more complicated part, but I'll show you how to do it. Next, we're just gonna go over how to add the subtitles and how to time them properly in the class definition of the sound we're gonna create. And yeah, that's the essentials really. There are links to the documentations, websites I used for this. So mostly just the BI Studio documentation for Arma 3 functions. If you want to check those to expand your knowledge or fix a bug, just use those. It's pretty nice, well documented. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, so we're gonna start with the actual mission setup. So just place a unit you can play as, or just put down this. Yeah, just, if you want to have a gun, it'll be easier for this. So we're gonna put this guy down, and we're gonna put along with them an enemy unit. Real quick, let me find that. Yeah, men, and we can have parade dress. Yeah, he's important. He looks important, right? Okay, so what we're gonna do with this dude, real quick, is we're gonna double click him, and we are going to type something in his init field. This init field, this is just for testing purposes because this is gonna start running around. We're just gonna put this, disable AI, and then space, quote, all. This basically will make it so that the AI doesn't move or react to anything. Just easier for us. And you'll still die from a bullet to the face, so that's good. We are also gonna double click him again because I forgot, and we are going to give him a variable name, which is going to be officer, lowercase officer 1. So once we have that, this dude is ready, and next we are going to be putting down a trigger up here in the right. If you want to press F3, it'll open it. We can place down a trigger, double click that thing, and we are going to put a condition in here, which is a pretty useful condition to remember. We're just gonna put exclamation point, which is just negation, basically. I don't know how to say it in English, honestly. So not alive officer score 1, right? So if we put that, we are checking. If we were to put this, would check if the officer 1 is alive. Then if we do that, if the officer 1 is dead, basically, right? And officer 1, you can make the link is the variable name to this officer, which is very useful for any mission if you want to ever do something where you check for a unit's death. So yeah, remember that. It's important. It's useful. It's nice. It's simple. Okay. And so we have that set up. We're just going to check server only also, just so we don't call this trigger on all of the users. And we're going to mess with the on activation field later. For now, we're just going to leave this as is. So yeah, that's this part. Next, we are going to be putting down a table. Oh my. Which table? Camping table. Heck yeah. And we are going to be putting down a computer. This is going to be useful later, but it's just for the example. Once we have those down, we can add a little something that's in the Arma 3 documentation. So if you go into like description, you'll find a add action link. It's basically the documentation for the add action function, which if I just paste this here real quick, this add action will add an action to this entity here, rugged multi-screen computer, black, and we can give the action a title such as transfer data, something you would want your players to do, right? And in a bit, we are going to be adding something in this line here under the params inside these brackets. We are going to add something to call the voice line. We'll do that in a bit though. Basically, what we are going to try to do here, if you didn't understand it yet, we are going to kill the officer. Once we do that, the trigger will activate, which will call something in the on activation field we're going to add. That's the basis of the mission setup for now. Okay, so now that we've set up the mission, we can actually move on to opening and adding some files in the mission folder. So neat little thing. I actually found out about this recently because, you know, I'm kind of dumb. If you're going to scenario, you can actually press this here, or you can do Alt O and open the scenario folder, and I'll just open your mission folder right up just for you. Isn't that perfect? So in here, what we're gonna want to do real quick is create 2 files in the root folder of the mission. So we're gonna go and create a file called description.ext. Just do that, yeah. And next we will want to create a file called cfgsounds.cpp. Now these look scary, but you can edit these with any text editor you have. You could open this thing up in freaking Notepad and add stuff that I give you. It's pretty simple. We'll just do it with Notepad for this one because that's what most people are going to be using. So what you want to add in the description.ext file is this hashtag include the quotes cfgsounds.cpp. So once you have that in there, you just make sure you save that thing. All right, let's just make sure I put the right thing in here. Yeah, that's perfect. Although the quotes are wrong, but that's okay. I just copy pasted it. Anyways, yeah, so just put that in here. That'll include the config sounds C++ folder file. And next you will want to open this thing up with whatever. Yeah, you can do text editor too. And you will want to add a little something in there which will spice it up. Which is actually in the documentation in the description. So if you look for description.ext hashtag, I think config sounds, you'll be able to find this actual lineup, like all this stuff here. It has like nice comments on what each thing does. So you may want to just open that documentation up and check it out. You know, once you've done that, we'll go over some of the values you need to edit in that file, but make sure you save it. Okay, make sure you save it. Okay, so this is where the fun begins. So in the config sounds.cpp file, we are going to want to start by, well, this isn't for my example really, but you can do whatever you want. This here, I'm going to edit the class name to good job. So we're gonna do something. We're gonna play this file, this sound, whenever we kill the officer, right? So someone else gonna tell us, "Good job, good job, you did well," and we'll be super happy after that. We are also going to change the file name here to good job, and here you can see we have a little fx, which is going to be a subdirectory we have to create right now, actually. So let's do that real quick. We are going to go here and create a new directory folder and call it fx. This is just where we're going to put our audio files. Pretty simple. You can change the name here if you want, but it doesn't really matter. Good job, good job. Good job to you, actually. Yeah. And we're gonna edit a few things here. Usually I just do this 0.7. This is like a appropriate size for me, I think. At least that's what I checked. Last I checked, at least that's a pretty good value for the size of the text. Here you have the font you can change. It says it all for you, so read up on how it works and customize it however you want. Now the complicated part, which might slow down some people, is the titles. This is actually where we're going to declare our subtitles, and this is very important. Okay, so I'm going to paste something here real quick. It's a pretty long line of code or whatnot. Pretty simple, really. You see we got a 0 here. This is basically when the sound starts, right? So let's say you play your sound, you do the, we'll say we call it function play sound, and you put the class name or whatnot. It'll play the sound, and at time 0 here, which is time 0, it will display this subtitle on the screen, right? And then if we move on after that subtitle at time 4, it will display this subtitle over here on the screen, and it'll go on after that. So basically we got here 0 subtitle, 4 after second 4 of the sound, subtitle different at second 8. So after 8 seconds the sound has played, it will play this subtitle, and then it'll be over. So that's a useful way to visualize it. We'll actually give an example in a bit once we actually record our sound, but these are the essential values. We'll actually change these values here after we record our sound to the actual sound we record, because we don't know if those are actually correct, and that will bring us onto the actual timing of the the subtitles with the audio. So yeah, next we're gonna go over to Audacity to actually record the audio and how to use it. Okay, so now we are on to Audacity. This is a free software you can find online. Look up Audacity download and you'll be able to download it. So yeah, all I'm gonna do now is just read off the script I got, and we'll see how that goes. Might have a little bit of stage fright, I'm sorry. Hey yo, you killed that dude? Good job. I thought you'd die or something. Come back to base. We can celebrate around a beer. Okay, that's actually perfect. That's actually perfect. Hey yo, you killed that dude? Yeah. Good job. I thought you'd die or something. Come back to base. We can celebrate around a beer. Alright, okay. so that's kind of cringe, but whatever. I'm gonna just add a little radio effect or something. You can look up how to do it. I'm not gonna tell you. This is not an Audacity video. First, I'm gonna normalize. Also, I'm not a sound designer. If you know sound design, please judge me harshly. And we're gonna add this. Hey yo, you killed that dude? That's pretty loud. That's pretty loud. Wait, I had something for this. Oh, macro, radio. Hey yo, you killed that dude? Perfect. Good job. I thought you'd die or something. Come back to base. We can celebrate around a beer. So yeah, okay, that'll do the job. So now we are going on to exporting. Let's see. So we are going to want to go here, export audio, export to computer, and here we have untitled. We'll call this good_job.ogg, right? So this is what we're gonna call it. Make sure you have OGG Vorbis files selected. If you don't, and that should export in the right format. Though we are also gonna check mono because that's what Arma wants for some reason. So yeah, now you can just press export and it should show up in this directory in your documents folder, ideally. Yeah, just export. And now we are going to go on and find that file in a bit. Alright, so now we have the file exported in your profile documents Audacity. Don't worry about the rest of this, just drag and drop your profile or your audio file into this effects folder in the mission directory or whatnot, mission folder. And now we will want to make sure that let's just copy this name just so we're sure. Copy the name, and we are going to go into our config.cpp file and check here that the sound path is proper. So fx /goodjob.ogg. That's what we had. That's perfect. So now we have this. The file is good. You can check all the freaking different things here, whatever. And next we're gonna go over the actual timing of the subtitles. So if we go into Audacity here, we can check real quick. So you see we have our voice line. Here we start at 0. So whenever your voice starts, the first subtitle is gonna play at second 0, right? So we start. You killed that dude. So let's just start from the start. Hey yo, so no you killed that dude. And there we have a pause right here, right? We have a pause between two of our lines. We're gonna check the time here, 2.3. So let's just go to the 4 here that we have, which is the time for the next voice line after this one. So hey yo, you killed that dude that I just said. After that, we want this one to play at second 2.3. 2.3, yeah. Just make sure you do 2.3. Yeah, and then this will play this part at 2.3 seconds after the sound has started. And now we can keep going after this. Good job. I thought you'd die or something. So here we say, good job. I thought you'd die or something. We can check. We have another pause here at second 5.3. So we are going to go at the end here. And you see the 8 here. We're going to put 5.3. And this is after the one I just said, good job. I thought you would die or something. And we go 5.3 and play the next one. Pretty simple, right? So that's how you do that. Next we are going to move on to how to actually call it in game so that players can hear it. Okay, so now that we've done all of that fun stuff with Audacity, we can now actually start experimenting with this in game. So now that we have our, config sounds set up with this class name, we can use that in game. We're going to interface with that through the trigger. I say interface as a big word. We're just going to use it in game, sorry. So, what you're going to want to type is, well, just type exactly what I type. So, bracket, the class name, good_job, right? That's the class name we have in the, which file? This file, not not this file. It's not this file. It's this file. So here, if you check, we can see the class name that I copied this. This is what we want in here. So now we have this good underscore job in brackets, or quotation marks, whatever you call them in English. And then you go and type remote exec, which this will actually remotely execute the function we're going to call after this, which is going to be play sound. So, with a semicolon, obviously. So we have, let's just explain this real quick. We are remotely executing, which is remote exec, the play sound function. This part here, we'll just execute the play sound function, which I have documentation for in the description if you want to check out. It will run this function on all clients, including the server, which we don't really want, but it doesn't matter. So we'll just leave it like this. Remote exec play sound runs the function on all the clients connected to the server, and it'll run this function with this parameter, which is good job, which if you check the documentation, the usual way we use this function is play sound good job, right? So you have the function call and then the class name of the sound you want to use. Here we have this class name here in quotes, and we have the function call. Didn't really need to explain that, but it's fun to understand this stuff so you can debug it if any issues arise or you want to customize it. So that should technically work. So let's just do the fun stuff and test it in game, and if it doesn't work, it'll be real fun. I usually run my stuff in multiplayer. You can run it in single player, but I can't promise it'll work. Well, I think it will. So now if we shoot this dude in the head.
Hey yo, you killed that dude?
We
Good
got
job.
we got
I thought you
the
died or something.
got the voice lines.
Come back to base. We can celebrate around a beer.
I really don't like this font, honestly. I'll probably change it. Let's change that after this. But yeah, I mean, hey, that worked perfectly, right? So this code worked, and we were able to call it in game and kill the dude. And now we have our voice line and the subtitles perfectly timed. Good job. Okay, guys, I actually added another link to the documentation, which basically has all the fonts available in the game. So if you want to scroll through those, I'm just gonna select one that I think I used before. Maybe Purista Bold. Let's just use that, and we're gonna go into our mission file here into config.cpp, and we're gonna open it with Notepad, and we're gonna change that to this, and hopefully I should change the font to something readable. But yeah, should be the link to fxy_file_format #available fonts. That should give you a list of the Arma 3 fonts available. So now let's just test that again and see if that actually changed our font, which I hope it did. The crossed fingers. Once that loads, buddy.
Hey yo,
Heck
you
yeah!
killed that dude?
Font changed. Let's
Good job.
go.
I thought you died or something.
Yeah, you can change the font.
Come back to base. We can celebrate
we
around
have
a beer.
a nice blueberry color for the title. You can change that title to whatever you want, obviously. And yeah, change the color, customize it however you want. It's really nice. It's a pretty free world with this stuff. Okay, so now we've done this officer dude. The next step is to finally use the computer with the feared and dreaded add action. Honestly, it's really simple. So what you are going to want to put in here, basically, you see in those brackets, you see all these are parameters. You can check the documentation on this function once again, as I said earlier, to see what each of these does. It's really well written. This is basically the title that will show up in your scroll bar whenever you hover over the object. And here we'll have, this is actually the code that will be run when the action is used. So here we are going to want to put the exact same thing almost we put in the trigger in the on activation field, except here I made another sound, which I didn't show how I made it, but it's basically the same process as the other one. It'll be, you can download the whole mission file, so if you want to have it, you can check it out. So we'll just put here, we have a different class name for this, data underscore transfer underscore complete. And here we have, let's say, it's remote exec, obviously. And we'll have play sound to play the sound globally. So that should work. Let's just make sure we have the right class name real quick. Just copying it from this and pasting it here. Okay, that's the right class name. So now we have this in game. Technically, we should be able to go in multiplayer, go here, go okay, and then we wait for it to finish, and then we're in, and then we get, oh, data transfer data.
This is HQ. The data transfer is complete, and the files are secure. Good work. Come back to base.
And we got our voice line from the interaction. You can change this, but right now we can replay it.
This is HQ.
Or you can stop it from replaying if you want.
And the files are secure.
And the parameters, just look it up. It's really easy, honestly. So yeah, that's how you do it with the add action. It's pretty nice. Add some interaction to the world. Alright, so next thing we're gonna do is pretty similar. You know, sometimes you just want the voice to be heard from a certain distance. Let's say you wanted this dude to be talking. Well, we're not gonna have this dude talk, but let's say you wanted to have a dude be talking. Let's say for our initial voice line where we had the radio message, instead we have this guy, another officer, say it. So let's just give this guy a few little tweaks. First, we're gonna set the variable name to big underscore boss, because yes. Then we can go in the init field and type this, disable AI path, just so that he doesn't run away whenever he sees this guy here, because they like to do that when they're unarmed. So we're gonna have this here, yeah, he's not gonna move. And then what we are going to want to change in this trigger here in the activation field is we're going to want to add something here. We're going to add the variable name of the entity we want to play the sound, or like say the audio, right? So here we're going to have big boss, add a comma, just so those are just separate parameters. Have the class name still, and then we have big boss, which is a variable name. And here we're going to change the play sound function to say 3D, which will actually make the unit say this sound in 3D space. You can also use, well, you have to check the documentation, but it's play sound 3D, I think, which will let also objects, which aren't units, say the audio, or play the sound basically. But we're just gonna go with say 3D because we want to make units speak. So let's double check this. Big boss, good job, remote exec, say 3D. That should work. So now if I go in game and I go and play and I complete the mission, good soldiers follow orders.
Hey yo, you killed that dude.
Now you see.
Good job.
Yeah, he's talking in his proximity.
Come back to base. We can celebrate around a beer.
Well, he's still talking as if he's talking through a radio, but you know, it still works. You get the point. He's saying it in 3D space, which is great. So that's what we wanted. That's perfect. Good job. Okay, well, guys, thank you for following through this video. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions, hit me up anywhere, and I'll try to answer them. So yeah, this is a pretty simple concept. I mean, yeah, obviously it'll take some getting used to, but once you have it set up once, it's really just a copy paste between missions, honestly, and just re-recording audio. And I think it adds a lot of depth to missions, especially if you have different voice actors, and that the audio actually adds to the mission story. So yeah, I mean, I think it's worth everyone's time to consider adding this stuff to their mission if they want to. It does take a bit of planning, obviously, and hoping that the player doesn't shoot the officer in the head if he has to speak. Or you can just disable damage on that dude if you want. But yeah, I mean, I hope it was helpful. I hope you learned, and don't forget to check the documentation to learn. And don't forget about the Google Drive where you can download this whole mission file and actually use it and copy stuff. And yeah, just make sure you know how to import that in game, which I'll leave a link to my other video on how to import mission files uh, in the description. Anyways, have a good day.